What's up, everybody, and welcome to the brand new YouTube channel called Hockey History. We're going to dive into the life and career of Montreal Canadiens legend Howie Morenz in this video. But first, I want to explain quickly what this YouTube channel is all about, since this is a brand new channel. First of all, my life has revolved around hockey since I can ever remember. I grew up playing from when I was about 4 until my late teens at fairly high levels. When I stopped playing, I still kept the same passion and energy that I always had for the NHL and hockey in general. My brain is filled with more or less useless information on the sport, so I thought, why not share it on YouTube? A lot of these videos will be about former great players, great teams, and events throughout the history of this great sport. So what better way to start than with the great Howie Morenz? Howie Morenz was born September 21st, 1902 in Mitchell, Ontario, which is about 2 hours northwest of Toronto. Howie learned to play hockey on the Thames River growing up and was immediately in love with the game. He played goalie in his first organized game at the age of 8. Morenz became a forward as it was very apparent his speed, which was much more suitable for an offensive role, and he helped the Mitchell ice hockey team win the Western Ontario Junior Championship. After the Morenz family moved to the nearby community of Stratford in May 1917, Morenz tried enlisting in the Canadian military but was refused when recruiters learned he was only 15 years old. In 1920, Morenz joined the under-20 team of the Stratford Midgets junior team. He led the league, which was the OHA, in assists and points in the 1920-21 season. Morenz and his team won the league that year and played in the Memorial Cup, where they lost to the Winnipeg Falcons. Despite getting a hat trick in the game, Stratford lost 11-9. His performance granted him a tryout with the Stratford Indians, who played in the Senior League. Not only did he make the team, but he led the league in goals, assists, and points. During a CNR hockey tournament held in December 1922 in Montreal, Morenz scored 9 goals in one game for Stratford. The owner of the Montreal Canadiens of the National Hockey League was told by a referee in that game of how good Morenz was and was invited to training camp for the Montreal Canadiens a year later. On December 3, 1923, Morenz arrived at his first Canadiens training camp and quickly impressed his new teammates. He made his NHL debut on December 26, 1923 in Ottawa against the Ottawa Senators, scoring a goal. At the conclusion of the 23-24 season, Morenz's first in the NHL, he finished with 13 goals and 3 assists in 24 games. For the first time in 5 years, the Canadiens faced the Senators in the playoffs for the NHL championship. In the first game of the 2-game total goals series, Morenz scored the only goal in the first game and added another goal in the second game as the Canadiens won the series 5-2. As the champions of the NHL, the Canadiens played 2 teams from Western Canada for the Stanley Cup. They defeated the Vancouver Maroons of the Pacific Coast Hockey Association in 2 games of a best-of-3 series and then faced the Calgary Tigers of the Western Canada Hockey League. In the first game, Morenz scored a hat-trick as the Canadiens won by a score of 6-1. He scored another goal in the second game as Montreal defeated the Tigers 3-0 to win their second Stanley Cup championship and Morenz's first with the team. The following season, Morenz scored 28 goals and had 11 assists for 39 points, placing second on the Canadiens and 4th in the NHL in scoring. That was followed with 7 goals and 8 points in 6 playoff games. The 1927-28 season was one of Morenz's best in the NHL. On March 24, 1928, in the final game of the regular season, Morenz earned 2 assists, tying the NHL record for assists in a season with 18, and becoming the first player to reach 50 points in a season, finishing with 51. As the league leader in goals with 33, assists, and points, Morenz was named the recipient of the Hart Trophy as the league's most valuable player. In 1929-1930 season, Morenz finished 7th in the league for scoring with 50 points, including scoring 40 goals for the first time. This included a game against the New York Americans on March 18, 1930, in which he scored 5 goals in the playoffs. He added another 3 goals, including his second Stanley Cup winning goal as the Canadiens beat the Boston Bruins for their 3rd Stanley Cup and Morenz's second. Morenz would go on to win another Stanley Cup the following year with the Montreal Canadiens. In his first season with the Blackhawks in 1934-1935, Morenz played in all 48 games for the team, scoring 8 goals and 34 points, an improvement over the previous season. The Blackhawks reached the playoffs, though Morenz was held pointless in the 2 games he played. The following season was not as good for Morenz. He did not feel comfortable in Chicago and was being benched, playing fewer minutes than he was used to. After 23 games with the Blackhawks in which he scored 15 points, Morenz was traded for the second time in his career and was sent to the New York Rangers on January 26, 1936, in exchange for forward Glenn Bryson. Playing 19 games for the Rangers, Morenz scored 2 goals and had another 4 assists for 6 points, giving him 21 points over the season. Over the summer of 1936, the Canadiens rehired Cecil Hart to become the coach of the team. Hart agreed to do the job on one condition, that the Canadiens bring Morenz back to the team. On September 1st, 1936, Morenz once again joined the Canadiens, his contract being purchased by the team from the Rangers. The Canadiens spent most of the 1936-37 season as one of the best teams in the NHL. Morenz contributed regularly, occasionally showing the speed that had made him notable to the start of his career. By mid-January, he had 4 goals and 20 points, far better totals than the previous year. On January 28, 1937, the career of Howie Morenz would not only finish, but so would his life. The Canadiens played the Chicago Blackhawks in Montreal. In the first period, Morenz went after the puck in the Chicago end while being chased by Blackhawks defenseman Earl Seibert. Morenz lost his balance and fell to the ice, crashing into the boards and catching his left skate on the wooden siding. Seibert, unable to stop, landed on him with full force. The resulting impact snapped Morenz's left leg, creating a noise heard throughout the rink. Helped to the Canadiens bench by his teammates, Morenz was taken to hospital, where it was found that his leg was fractured in 4 places. Hart was initially hopeful that Morenz could return after 6 weeks, but after learning of the severity of the injury, conceded that Morenz would not be able to play for the rest of the season. The Canadiens team doctor, Dr. J.A. Hector Forges, visited Morenz in late February and determined that he had suffered a nervous breakdown. To help Morenz, Dr. Forges banned all visitors to his room, except for his family and Canadiens officials. Mary, Morenz's wife, and their oldest son, Howie Jr., visited them on most days, and William Morenz, his father, traveled from Stratford during the first week of March and stayed through March 5th. On March 8th, Morenz began complaining of chest pains, which doctors attributed to a heart attack. Mary Morenz and Cecile Hart were called to the hospital around 11:30 p.m. Morenz tried to get out of bed to use the washroom but collapsed on the floor and died from a coronary embolism caused by blood clots from his damaged leg, minutes before his wife and coach arrived. He was only 34 years old. A funeral was held on March 11th at the Montreal Forum, the arena where the Canadiens played. Fans were allowed to file past the casket laid at center ice, and 50,000 people paid their respects. Howie Morenz finished his NHL career with 550 games played, 270 goals, 197 assists for 467 points, as well as 2 Stanley Cups with the Montreal Canadiens, as well as 3 Hart Memorial trophies as the league's MVP. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know I'm kind of probably a monotone and boring speaker. Hopefully I'll get better at that. But yeah, if you did happen to like the video, please consider subscribing and liking. Really appreciate that, and see you next time.